We live. Alright, that's my shit right there. Boy, that's that Gerald Levert. No, I'm sorry. That's the group Levert, okay? So that was Levert called Smiling. You keep me smiling. Mm, 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 mm. I'm so satisfied. I'm so satisfied. That should be bad. Smiling by Levert. So I got the coffee. I'm awake and alive, right? Coffee and tobacco. So we're going to break down this misinformation that has been propagated in the conscious community for 30 years. Niggas been lying about coming from the South, where God happy dwells. The papyrus of, thank you, Dr. Banu, as a West African American is just a play on being West African and a play on being African American, right? It's a guy who sells clothing and shirts, right? He also, what you say, Tyrone? You need you a pipe now. I switched from the cigar to the pipe. Ooh, now y'all know I used to come on smoking cigars and shit, right? I had to let this shit go. Cigar habit is expensive, bro. I'm telling you. If you smoke a cigar a day, you're smoking, just say $15. Say you smoking $15 a day. $10 a day times 30 days is $300. So, I mean, a cigar hat is like a $500 a month habit. It's cigars. $500 a month if you smoke a cigar every day, right? So I said, fuck that shit. I broke out the pipes and started buying pipes and got into the pipe culture and subscribed to a lot of tobacco pipe guys and 2A supporters, and it's just that culture, you know what I mean? And I can buy this big old tin for $25 and have tobacco that lasts me 2 whole months for $25. I'm saving damn near $500 a month smoking tobacco. And pipe tobacco, which you can get different kinds, and I keep them in the jars, right? And pipe tobacco tastes better than cigar tobacco. It's a win-win all the way around. And plus, I go to the cigar lounges. It's a cigar lounge here. I went to one in Atlanta and hung out and partied, right? And all the brothers be and sisters be smoking on cigars and shit, right? Smoking on cigars. And here my ass is, come up in the spot with my little kit and shit and my little tamper and have me a classy ass pipe like this. This is for just for home shit. But this is that classy shit you take to the cigar lounge or whatever. And I break out the pipe on their ass. It stops the show. Everybody's looking. It begins to start conversation pieces and shit. And the cool factor is better with a pipe. You see me with a pipe and a nigga with a cigar, I got the cool factor. I'm like... So a pipe is a win-win all the way around in the tobacco smoking world. It's just people just forgot about the old school, right? So I'm bringing old school back. We bringing pipes back, right? And let them know we ain't no goddamn followers. I'm an individual. I'm the only one with the pipe in the cigar lounge. Looking the coolest. And as always, I'm different than everybody else. I go against the grain. Whatever you want, even when banging days, I say, whatever you claim, nigga, I claim the opposite. Nigga, what's up, cuz or blood? What the fuck is you talking about? What's happening, YouTube? So let me go ahead and now. And in the old days, in the old school, you light your pipe with a match. The cool factor, the match. Alright, let me stop clowning around. So, I wanted to make this video because I seen a discussion about NAMER and people coming from the South, and I thought I killed this shit. But then you got people who will come up here lying again and try to bring back and act like the Egyptians came from the South. Since I've been in the community since '92, following Ashraf Quays and all the greats, I'm going to tell you the real. And when they say it came from the South, in the conscious community, The elders brainwash the students into thinking this. This is why they always repeat it. Oh, they came from the south. Oh, the ancient Egyptians and the original dynasties, the Dynasty 1, Dynasty 0, they came from the south. They're trying to allude to, they're trying to trick you into thinking that they were Nubians coming up as some big bad cats, coming up from Nubia, the Cushites, and taking over Egypt and beginning Egypt. And then Egypt formed the nation state when Upper and Lower Egypt combined. Them Nubians did it, and they started the nation state, and they jumped off Egypt. All them accomplishments and shit was because of black folk down in the motherfucking south. And that's what the intent was, right? So now you have a brother like Chief X, the truth seeker, the sincere one, the one who has turned the conscious community upside down on top of his head and got everybody erratic and scrambling all over the place trying to save face. But Chief X ain't gonna let him save face. Chief X gonna nail it on down some more. So they tried to make the black community, black Americans, believed ancient Egyptians started from some people who came from Cushites and Nubians and from the south. The black man did it. That was the whole intent. So this is what I'm gonna kill today. What's up, B. Oliver Burns? I got you, bro. I called your order in and it's going out tomorrow. Thank you for that. Squally Vision, what's happening with you? Dr. Banoobs, OG Donnie Williams in this motherfucker. All right, Yasun, salute. S. Rush, the DNA lo-fi, the DNA of life. Yes. Okay. So, Chief X, go ahead and shut this shit down and cancel Christmas for these cats. Put their panties in a bunch and let them know that the South they're talking about is just another part of Egypt. Peace be money. OG be money, boy. Be money. I've been doing I was watching your little workout rooms. I said I got my little pull-up bar over there. I've been doing my pull-ups and chin-ups and just getting in. I've been trying to focus more on chin-ups lately, because since I'm doing only calisthenics, I needed to work my bicep more. Because, doing push-ups and abs and pull-ups and stuff, I get my shoulders and my chest and my tricep and my back and all that, but I was lacking on the biceps, so I started doing more chin-ups. The only time I used weights was for curls, which you can see the bar under my table. But I really don't want to lift weights no more. I've done that all my life. So I want to do calisthenics. So I've been doing them chin-ups, and I found a way to build that motherfucking bicep with chin-ups. Them chin-ups work for biceps good. This is a pull-up. This is a chin-up. You in your garage now. I hear you. Get it in. Get it in. Okay. Let's start off with this. Let me share my screen and go in on this. This is going to be a murking. This is going to be some child abuse for people who thought otherwise. Bam. What did I want to show first? Okay, let's first just clarify who the hell NAMER is, okay? NAMER, and that's NAMER's palette. Sometimes they call NAMER means, People are confused. They don't know what the hell the damn name is. NAMER means, is it Ahor? They all the same damn person. Let's just put it that way. Let's just make it simple, okay? See, uncertain. Probably hor aha. I mean, they just confuse means, NAMER. Let's just stick with NAMER, okay? NAMER meaning painful catfish, stinging catfish, harsh catfish, or fierce catfish, an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. First off, he's an Egyptian pharaoh, the first. He's not a Nubian pharaoh. Just off the rip, this kills the notion that NAMER was Nubian or even came from Nubia. How did you guys get the logic confused? He's an Egyptian pharaoh. They didn't say he's a Cushite pharaoh. They didn't say he's a Nubian pharaoh. Okay? They said Egyptian pharaoh of what? The early dynastic period. Now let me set my phone up so I can see the comments. Bear with me, y'all. This is going to get interesting. And no longer should people make these fake claims. And if they do, you direct them to Chief X and Chief X's video in this presentation that I'm doing, okay? Because Chief X ain't going to let you get brainwashed. Hold on. All right. I can see my comments now. Okay. The early dynastic period, he was the successor to the proto-dynastic King Ka. Many scholars consider him the unifier of Egypt and the founder of the first dynasty. Okay? Just a simple explanation on who the hell NAMER is. Okay? There goes a photo. I mean, well, people unsure if that's the proper statue of him. Right? So also some NAMER with the pharaoh, people call him means, right? Okay, so that's NAMER. Let's move forward, and I need people to understand this. Hold on. Where's my notepad? Because I wrote something down. I'll be having the time stamp set up. Okay. Listen. Upper. Let me just say this. Whether it was Upper or Lower Egypt, they were all the same people, the same stock, and the same Caucasian who's been floating around from West Asia, Mesopotamia, whatever you want to call it, the Levant, Canaan, that whole region, that geographical region, it's a region. They've always been floating up and down the Nile, along the North African coast forever, before Upper and Lower Egypt was established, before there was a nation state called Egypt. People were there, and then the more populated they get, then they begin to form and begin a nation. After being populated, after organizing and things like that, that's just common sense and how shit works, okay? So let's listen for a second.
Lower Egypt. These two regions were always fighting. They spoke the same language. They worshipped the same gods. They spoke the same language. They worshipped the same gods. Fighting. They spoke the same language. They worshipped the same gods. They had the same culture. But, for reasons, they could not get along until 3100 BC, when Upper Egypt became powerful and wealthy. The king of Upper BC, they could not get along until 3100 BC, when Upper Egypt became became powerful and wealthy. The king of Upper Egypt at that time, Menes, personally brought troops to defeat Lower Egypt. The final battle took place right on the triangle of the Nile, where two armies fought 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, the Upper Egyptian army won. King Menes.
Okay, so I have to slow walk y'all, and especially the conscious community. I got to get slow walk you guys and slow it down so I can be a good teacher and get the point across to you. Okay? They spoke the same language. Yep. Same basic culture. Same gods. They were the same fucking people of the same stock. Niggas who've been floating in and out of West Asia, the Levant, and North Africa for 60,000 years. You don't believe me? Hold on. Listen again.
Into Egypt and ruled for a bit. Okay? Cleopatra was ruled. Okay? He's gonna let you know that they have always been there. Just like I said, they've always been up and down the Nile. Up and down the Nile. Before there was pyramids.
Hold on, y'all. I forgot to share my screen. Hold on. Okay, I know the sound is a little messed up. He said there has always been people with lighter skin and straight hair. And another thing, he said even blue eyes up and down the Nile for 60,000 years. For 60,000 years, these light-skinned, straight-haired people have been up and down the Nile for 60,000 years. This is what the evolutionary biologist says, not Chief X. Because it was distorted a little bit. Okay? Now, I'm slow walking you, so bear with me. You have to put everything I'm saying together in your head and compile it, and then use your logic to come to a conclusion. I'm going to assist you in this, okay? Now, NAMER came from a city called Thinis. I'm sorry, let me share my screen. I'm sorry. I'm trying to see if it pop up because there's a delay. Okay, there we go. NAMER comes from a city called Thinis. I don't know if you guys can see my arrow. Thinis is north of Abydos. When they say from the south, you have the delta as you see above, which is basically the Mediterranean Sea, right? So you have Lower Egypt, which is northern Egypt, and you have Upper Egypt, which is southern Egypt, right? Kush is way down here. Nubia is way down here. Hold on, let me see if I can blow this up. Okay. Oops. Okay. There goes Thinis. It's in the middle between northern Egypt, there go Thinis, and in southern Egypt, which is way down, actually past Aswan here, all the way down here to Kush, to basically the second cataract. So Narmer ain't came from nowhere down here. When the elders and people in the community taught the South, they tried to allude to Kush in Nubia. That is a lie. Narmer came from Thinis, which is in the middle. They're just saying south of the Mediterranean is what they mean. They don't mean the south as in Sudan. This is the mind game that afrocentrics play. Okay? Now, we're clear on that. Okay? Let's move on. Let's go right here real quick. It's about King Narmer. Okay. So, if you can read along with me, the King Narmer was usually considered the first king of the first dynasty, perhaps even the first king who ruled the whole Egypt and the last king of the pre-dynastic period. His predecessors was King Scorpion, and his successor was King Hor-Aha. Okay? King Narmer was born in 3180 BC and passed away 3120 BC in Egypt, not Nubia. Okay? So, the ancient Egyptians saw their land as two distinct halves, right? It's not Nubia. They saw their nation as two distinct halves. There was Upper, which was the Nile Valley, where was more rural in the southern region, and the Lower Egypt, which was broad expanse of the delta in the northern region. Hold on, that's not what I wanted to read. Hold on. Matter of fact, let's just say this. Narmer was from Upper Egypt, and it appeared Neith-Hotep was from Lower Egypt. Some people say he married this lady called Neith-Hotep, who was a Lower Egyptian, and he was an Upper Egyptian. Neith-Hotep was Queen Regent and possibly one of Or-Haha's wives, right? So I'm just quoting this to say that Upper and Lower Egyptians married each other because they were one people, one of the same. You have to understand that. Upper Egyptians and Lower Egyptians are still Egyptians, and they're still Caucasians. Okay? This is what I need to. Okay. So here it says, Narmer was also the first king known to initiate an expedition into the eastern desert. He was therefore ambitious to extend the territories of Egypt and exploit the trade opportunities and natural resources of who? Neighboring countries. Who are those neighboring countries, Chief X? You're talking about Nubia and Canaan in the Levant, aka Israel in today's time. So, after NAMER united the two lands, he turned around and done a U-turn, passed up the areas he came from, extended the civilization, and invaded Nubia and started gangbanging on Nubians, and was set up camp down up in there with a military expedition. He did not go down and bang on his own people, because he wasn't Nubian, he was Egyptian. He went down and banged on Nubians and expanded some territory. These are his neighbors, not where he's from. He is not from the south, meaning Cushites, Cush, or Nubia. He's from Egypt, the middle of it, Central Egypt. Okay? So he also developed significant trade with nearby and southern Canaan. Now, this is going all into a topic that Garfield is going to be debating Jabari about. Since the time of NAMER, 3200 BC, the ancient Egyptians was all up in Israel, which was called Canaan. So Canaan, the Levant, the Near East, has been fucking around since before NAMER. It's not like he just discovered them then. They've always knew each other and have been around. So they've been fucking with, today we call Israel, since 3200 BC. Damn near 6,000 years. Egypt and Israel been connecting on so many levels, as in trade. Canaan know their gods, and Egypt know their gods, if they had any at that time. They're in cahoots. So I don't know how Garfield's going to win this debate, acting like Christianity didn't take any influence from ancient Egyptian religions or belief systems. They were all in each other's lands forever. Of course they were influenced by their neighbors. Of course Christianity was influenced by ancient Egyptian religions. Since NAMER and before? Oh, come on now. So I just wanted to read that. The latter discovery has led to the conclusion that Egypt's presence in Canaan was in the form of a colony rather than just the results of trade. While Egypt's presence in Canaan has been explained as a result of military invasion, King NAMER led military expeditions through Lower Egypt to put down rebellions and expanded his territory into Canaan and Nubia. He wasn't from Canaan or Nubia, but he expanded his territory with military expeditions into those lands, which were his neighbors. Are you guys clear? And initiated what? He initiated large building projects, and under his rule, urbanization increased. You know how shit be fucked up in rural, and niggas ain't got shit together? He increased and urbanized the area. So no, he didn't come from Nubia, the south down there. He rode on Nubians on a military expedition. Now, let's move forward. Pre-dynastic times. Pre-dynastic period of ancient Egypt, prior to 3100 BC, is traditionally the period between early Neolithic and the beginning of pharaonic monarchy, starting with King NAMER, if you can see. However, the dates of pre-dynastic periods were first defined before widespread archaeological excavation of Egypt had taken place. Okay, so the pre-dynastic period they have between 5500 to 2700 BC. Part of the pre-dynastic period was also known as Nakada 3. Can y'all see that? Because we're about to break this down. I'm slow walking you. The Badarian culture, Nakada cultures, all that is pre-dynastic Egypt, and people who are not Nubian. Well, let me not use Nubian because it's tricky these days. Was not black folk. They were people from Mesopotamia, West Asia, Levant, Canaan. People have been traveling up and down the Nile forever, right? So I just have to show this. Let me zoom back out. This is some of the artwork of them with the blue eyes. Soy Kita said there was blue eyes in the super-Saharan Africa 30, 60,000 years ago. People with straight hair, they always been there. This is a bone figure of a woman from Upper Egypt, early pre-dynastic period. Nakada 1. I'm telling you, the Nakada, the Badarian cultures were not black folk. I'm making that claim and will debate anyone on it. Okay? And this is in the British Museum. The earliest three-dimensional representations of humans from ancient Egyptian have been found in graves of the pre-dynastic period, 6th millennium, about 3100 BC. That's basically an artifact of a blue-eyed Caucasian in pre-dynastic Egypt. You shut your goddamn mouths. Hold on, y'all. Okay? Let's move forward. All this is artwork of these pre-dynastic people in the area. An ivory figurine with a woman. This is from the Badarian culture, 4000 BC. This is another pre-dynastic, some pre-dynastic art. Okay? These are all from early pre-dynastic periods. All this shit. This is a comb. Pre-dynastic period, circa 3200. It's broke off. And it breaks down that the comb may have been part of the funeral equipment of someone who lived about 5,200 years ago. Parts of the comb's teeth are missing, it says. Can be seen along the bottom edge. The detailed decorations suggest that the comb belonged to an elite person and was more of a ceremonial object than just an instrument to arrange the hair. Now, a lot of times you'll see them, what you think are Afro picks and shit like that. But no. Even Greco-Roman world had combs just like that. That's how they made combs back then. They didn't per se have a comb like that for white and a black person, and this, okay, a black person uses a pick. No, they just had some teeth and combed their shit. The comb evolved later in modern times, but this is a comb white folk use. Greco-Roman world, this is a comb. So on this comb, there's decorated. You'll see giraffes. You'll see a line of dogs or jackals. You know, jackals in ancient Egypt. Across the center row. In the fourth row is cattle or wild bulls. In the bottom row, a line of dogs or perhaps pigs. This is in the Metropolitan Museum. All this stuff is early. This is the details of a woman. This is artwork. A woman in cloak. This is the Thinite period. You know what the Thinite period is? I told you that NAMER was from where? Thinis. That's the Thinite period. Thinite is just a, I guess, a fuller word for Thinis. Thinite period, 3100, 2700 BC. That don't look like y'all. This is pre-dynastic artwork. All up and down where Thinis is. Central Egypt is where NAMER came from. Central Egypt. This is part of artwork from his culture. Here we go. A stela of a serpent king. Thinite period. First dynasty. Now you know that the Nubians didn't even have writing. They didn't write no hieroglyphs. Stop that shit. This is a dagger right here. The Nubians did not read or write hieroglyphs at this time. Stop it, people. Stela of the King Serpent, Thinite period, First Dynasty, reign of the Serpent King, circa 3000 BC. Discovered by Abydos, which is right next to Thinis. Huh? This has nothing to do with a Nubian's work in this pre-dynastic First Dynasty period. You know Nubians didn't write hieroglyphs. Come on back to me real quick. Let me show you this. Hold on. Hold on. One second, y'all. I should have had this lined up. Damn. Okay. I don't have the exact scholarship on this. The Nubians didn't develop writing until the 2nd century. Whether you want to call it Old Nubian, Meroitic script, or whatever, that was 3,000 years later. 3,000 years later, then some Nubians are writing. What are y'all talking about? Let me find it. Egyptian hieroglyphs. These right here date to 3400, 3200 BC. This is some of the first hieroglyphs, and they was pre-dynastic time. You know Nubians didn't write this. Nubians didn't begin writing until the 2nd century, 3,000 years later. They're clueless about this. Why is y'all playing games? You see right here, if you can see 3400, 3200 BC. So all them people down south in central Egypt began this shit. These are Caucasian people. People from Mesopotamia and shit like that. What you say, Chief X? Mesopotamia? Prove that shit. Okay. All this, the Gerza pottery, hieroglyphs may have emerged from pre-literate artistic traditions of Egypt. For example, symbols on Gerzian pottery. I mean, Mesopotamian relations. I mean, prove this Mesopotamian shit you talking, Chief. Okay. Right here. Egypt, Mesopotamian relations. Are you paying attention? How far they go back? Okay. Egypt, Mesopotamian relations were the relations between the civilizations of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia in the Middle East. They seem to have developed from 4th millennium BC. In what period? The Uruk period. All this shit in this artwork is Mesopotamian related. The Gerzian culture, prehistoric Egypt. Prior to a specific Mesopotamian influence, there had already been a long-standing influence from West Asia. These people have been neighbors forever. How did you guys get brainwashed by afrocentrics? There's been a long-standing influence from West Asia into Egypt, North Africa, and even into some parts of the Horn of Africa and the Sahel, from the Neolithic Revolution from 9000 BC. God damn. From 9000 BC, they've been fucking around. These populations who are neighbors in West Asia and Egypt. So Garfield Reed, Israel and Egypt been fucking with each other since 9000 BC. Jabari's gonna kill you. Certain animals and possibly a Proto-Afro-Asiatic language into the region. Mesopotamian influence can be seen in the visual arts of Egypt in architecture and technology, weaponry, imported products, livestock, and also in the likely transfer of writing from Mesopotamia to Egypt. What is y'all talking about? Mesopotamian pottery, all up and down the Nile. Prove that shit, Chief X. Let me scroll on down. All this. Here we go. Mesopotamian style pottery in Egypt. You know how Ankh and Smash Rockwell are always talking about that black top pottery. Well, that's it. Mesopotamian influence. You see? Hold on. Y'all see that black top pottery at the part up the top? These are for ancient cultures. West Asian and Egyptian influenced. Nothing about Nubia. This shit did not come from Nubia. I've already killed these cats on the pottery debate. And proved my point. Them was Caucasians. Pottery. Huh? Let me make this smaller. Okay, so let's just further clear this up. There goes NAMER's palette. What does it say? Egyptian palettes, such as NAMER palettes, borrow elements of Mesopotamian iconography in the design of Uruk. This is all Mesopotamian, West Asian influenced. This ain't got shit to do with no Nubians. Nothing at all. Nubians didn't write and draw like this. Prove some more shit, Chief X. There we go right here. The same shit with the animal heads circled around each other like this. Entwined like this. This is a Uruk cylinder seal. Egyptian palace was adopted from Mesopotamian design. Right there. They've always been up and down the Nile River. All the way down to the Second Cataract. In pre-dynastic times. I don't know how much other proof I need to show you. This shit right here is on here on this shit. On NAMER's palette. It's all the same region. Just like the same region is Cameroon, Nigeria, and Ghana. That's y'all's region. This is Caucasians' region. The Near East, Levant, Canaan, Egypt, Mesopotamia. That's their region. I mean, we can go on and on and on. Egypt-Mesopotamian relations. They have always been there. They influenced the pre-dynastic Egyptian cultures. They have a long-standing, I'm not even making this up. It says it right here, a long-standing influence. They didn't say just an influence. They added and said a long-standing influence. And they all spoke the same language. Whether you're in Upper Egypt or Lower Egypt, they still all spoke an Afro-Asiatic language, just like the people in the Levant, just like the people in Mesopotamia, West Asia. Same fucking region. Okay, so let's continue on. So, nobody really wanted to debate this shit, because I would have pulled this shit on their ass and showed you it was blue eyes, depictions of artwork. Lapaloosa, how you pronounce it, right? The Thinite period in Egypt. Let's read a little bit about the Thinite period. Nubians wasn't building this shit like this. Manetho described the first two dynasties as the Thinite. Thinis is where Narmer's from. Thinis is a legendary city near Abydos, said to be the first home of the kings of Egypt, of the first and second dynasty. No, Narmer wasn't black. Narmer's palette had Mesopotamian shit on it, not Nubian shit all on it. In conclusion, Thinite era was very similar to what? The third dynasty, and most of the major institutions were in place before Dozier's reign. They were setting up. The king was no longer described only as a Horus. Instead, later he acquired three names that formed the basis of his tutelary. A, the House of Horus, name which expresses his role as a divine heir to the throne. B, the Nusibiti, name, the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. I mean, like, I can go on and on. That's Thinis they talking about. They talking about the Thinis dynasty, or the Thinite period in Egypt. Where Narmer came from. Central Egypt. So, you're going to have to prove that all these writings and shit I'm showing and depictions were written by Nubians. You can't do that. They didn't have a writing system. So you know that these were just some early Egyptians in pre-dynastic time, some early Caucasians, some early Near Eastern people, some early West Asian people writing and doing all this shit. Okay. Now, when they're talking about Meroitic language, was spoken in Moro in present-day Sudan during the Meroitic period, attested from 300 BC. It was written in two forms, the Meroitic alphabet, Meroitic cursive. This is 300 BC. I was talking about pre-dynastic Egypt, which was 3200 BC. 3,000 years before this Meroitic Kushite fucking script, inscriptions. You're talking about a whole different people. Native to who? Kingdom of Kush, the Meroitic. The region, southern part of Upper Egypt, around Aswan, Lower Nubia. Possibly attested as early as 12th dynasty Egypt. Family, language family, possible Nilo-Saharan or Afro-Asiatic. Meroitic alphabet. I mean, this was way later. The Kushites was late with writing. 3,000 years late. While Narmer And all them Caucasians up and down the Nile, all the way down to the second cataract, has been writing. And you see the early hieroglyphs I've showed you. All in pre-dynastic Egypt. That wasn't Nubian shit. That wasn't Kushites shit. This case is closed. People need to stop this shit. You guys have to stop this from the South lie. And you have to admit that West Asian people have been up and down that Nile before there was a first dynasty. Gerson culture, the Badarian cultures, the Naquata cultures, none of that shit was black folk, in my opinion. And I showed you because of early writings, and you know for a fact that the Nubians did not write that early. You know for a fact. You don't sit here and make up no lies, don't create no shit. You know what I mean? Don't try to fit yourself in and act like you do. They had some writings. Nope. I mean, this is like a dagger of all daggers. I showed you pre-dynastic, pre-Egyptian culture, early hieroglyphic writings, all up and down in Thinis by Abydos. That you know no Kushites and Nubians wrote. Game is over. How many other ways do I got to put you niggas in the dirt? And show you you've erred. And show you your master teachers manipulated your mind when they tried to tell you NAMER came from the South. They should have just been honest and said NAMER basically came from Central Egypt. It might be a little bit lower than Central, going southern, but definitely in the mix of Central Egypt. Y'all running around here thinking it was way down coming from Ethiopia and Sudan and some shit. That's what they had y'all thinking. Wrong. Slap yourself. Slap yourself and say, God damn it, I was in a cult. So I don't know what Brother Ankh and Smash Rockwell were talking about today. How they didn't know this. And I got love for you, Smash Rockwell. I'm going to keep it respectful. Although Ankh could talk that shit today and call me trash, but he can't pick up this trash. Ankh can't pick up this trash and do nothing with it. Ankh will go debate anybody except me. That's how bad I am. Niggas don't want this kind of work. I'm telling you. Niggas don't want this work. You can find the baddest motherfucker you think in the community, and he won't touch me on this debate about ancient Egypt and who the ancient Egyptians were. Who the pre-dynastic people were. No one will debate me on that pre-dynastic pottery shit. They won't debate me on Badarian cultures, Naquata cultures. None of that shit. I got you niggas wrapped up from pre-dynastic times to the motherfucking end of Egyptian time. You don't want to see me on any period with regards to any chronology. Oh, man. What you said? The culture came from the South, even though no writing into the South until 3 days. Now, Dr. Banu, I'm not clear on the difference between Sumeria, Mesopotamia, West A. I just consider them all the same region and people to me. Now, I'm not sure if the Sumerians spoke Afro-Asiatic or not. That's just not my lane. So if I made a mistake in this, pardon me, I stand to be corrected. But I'm just pointing out it wasn't the Nubians. You know what I'm saying? See, Afrocentrics hate this point right here that Eric Christopher wrote. Egypt is linked to Mesopotamia all day, even the temples. They hate that. They hate that Egyptians are considered Mediterranean peoples. They hate that shit. Because Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean does not equate to black folk, and they know it. They can't relate themselves to being Mediterranean. It fails. What you say, Daryl? That's Serapod right on Norma's palette. Yep. Now, what people need to do is clear up, because they have these things of Nubian Group A, Nubian Group B, and I don't know that, and I don't know the difference. Somebody should make a video clearing it up, because a lot of people got that shit confused. I'm not well read on it, but I'm gonna have to figure out what the hell is Nubian Group A, Nubian Group B, Nubian Group. I don't know what the fuck that shit is. So the points I had to make today. Canaan and ancient Egyptians has always been relating and doing trade. So Garfield, yeah. Christianity and the ancient Egyptian religion has some similarities. They have some influence from each other. There's no way around that. Jabari will show you. I just showed you, just talking about basic history. There's no way you can break that bind in that relationship between Canaan and Egypt. No way. I proved that NAMER didn't come from the south. They just mean south of Lower Egypt. That's all they mean. You guys have took it out of context and try to put the South in another context, going down further into Ethiopia and Kush. You fucking liars. You deceitful motherfuckers. Hustle Banks all wrong. He ain't saying nothing now. Listen. He ain't saying nothing now. I debunked this statement. Just now, if you listened. They're trying to consider Aswan Nubia. Aswan is where the first cataract is. And you have to go further down to reach what's considered Sudan or Nubia, whatever you want to call it. Thinis is north of Aswan. They didn't say NAMER came from Tasseti. Nowhere in any writing in scholarship that this says NAMER came from Tasseti. I'm telling you, he came from Thinis. Y'all got to stop this manipulation. You got to stop it. Hey, hey, hey. It's Fat Albert. So, what we have here is a failure to comprehend. What we have here is some Hotep hustlers who was making money and receiving financial gain to miseducate you, manipulate your mind, and make you think that some black folk came up from Ethiopia and Kushite and just was running shit and jumped off ancient Egypt. Them niggas wasn't writing a motherfucking thing. Aswan is Upper Egypt. Look. Upper Egypt. It don't say Southern Nubia or Southern Sudan. It's still Egypt. Go to the beginning. They told you Upper Egyptians and Lower Egyptians had the same culture, the same gods, and spoke the same language. Kushites didn't speak the same language. They was in different language family. Thank you, B Money. I appreciate you, B Money. True. Peace and love to you, Faith, with your little fine ass. Hustle Bank said, what do we call black people in Aswan, Chief? Nubians. I shared a video with them dark-skinned people in Aswan, and they call themselves Nubians. You can't label them. I just had a guy on. Go back and watch the live stream I did last weekend. Saturday Night Live. We interviewed a black American who lived in Egypt for a year and a half. Not visited, but lived in Egypt for a year and a half. He told you them people down there in Aswan are Nubians. And they'll tell you that they're Nubians. We've went over who the modern day Egyptians are. They are the ancient Egyptians. Either you're late or you're not watching my presentations. Matter of fact, get off this presentation and just go back and watch the video I did a year ago called Black Egypt Debunked by Chief X. That'll straighten you up because you haven't seen it, obviously. Some of y'all who's confused, you should stop watching this video or any of my new videos. Go back a whole year. You got homework to do. You behind. That's another thing, Gullah Geechee, people need to clarify. Cushitic and Cushites. Cushitic with a C and Cush with a K. People confuse that. People confuse Cushitic and Cushites. I'm not sure why y'all don't clear that up. People like to have that confusion still. They've never cleared that up. I'm not well read on that, so I'm not the matter of fact. I'm going to get well read on it and clear it up, since people fail to do that. People still want people to linger on and still have hope, so they haven't cleared that up. Clear that up, y'all. A lot of y'all ain't doing your job properly. Cushite with a K and Cushitic with a C. We got to clarify that so people can have an understanding. Oh, okay. Yeah, so like every time somebody says Cushitic is Afro-Asiatic, I be like, the layman is gonna think you talking about Cushites. I'm telling you, they do today. That's right, Christopher Eric. The Nubians did not know West Africans no more than the Creeks knew the Navajos. You're right. West Africans had no clue that there was pyramids erected. They don't know what the fuck is going on over there. Like I don't know what the fuck is going on in Florida. If a hurricane killed everybody in Florida, my California ass would have no clue or no idea that everybody in Florida is dead. I'm on the other side of the world. Kicking it in the sun and shit. I'm surfing and shit. And swimming and shit. Here y'all is dead and I have no clue. See, Chef Ronell said, I thought it was the same. I wish somebody would clear that up. Afrocentrics have been letting that shit linger for decades also. I'm not the one to do it. Please, somebody clarify Cushitic and Cushites up. Hey, Gullah Geechee, you want to come on and clear that up? I put a link in the chat. Didn't I put the link in the chat? Now, before I go, the link is in the chat. Before I go, oh, there you go, Gullah. Before I go, I'm gonna bring Gullah on. Um, if anybody want to clarify something and come on, um, hit the link. If anybody is confused and going against NAMER being from Central Egypt, come on. So I can send you home packing. What's up, Gullah?
What's good with it, bro?
All right, all right. You gonna clarify that Cushitic and Cushite thing up? The K and the
Oh
C.
yeah,
Let's just the K and the C.
oh yeah. Hold on, you gotta mute this. I'm getting feedback.
Okay, my bad. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's the difference between Cushite with a K and Cushite with a C is that the one with the K is actually the re-Egyptianized Kerma culture. You know what I'm saying? When Tutmosis the third conquered conquered Kerma or whatever, they named it Kush. That was the Egyptian moniker for the like the lower Nubian area and the Kerma culture, those areas. But the Cushitic language family is different. It's part of the Afro-Asiatic language family with the one with the C. It's just a coin term, and it's actually like the language family is it would be close to Egyptian language by being Afro-Asiatic, but it has nothing to do with the actual Kushite kingdom. You did have I ain't gonna lie though, you did have some Cushitic speakers around in the area that mixed in with some of them Nilo-Saharan groups that would have been centrally the Kerma people, like you got the Gash group, and then you had the Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? The Egyptians who influenced them too. Uh, but I don't even like for me personally, like Christopher Eric, like he still used the term Cushitic, but he also used like alternative terms like central Uritic language, because these languages would have been languages along the Red Sea area. You know what I'm saying? Even the northern Afro-Asian languages like Berber, Egyptian, and Chadic and Semitic, he classified them as northern Uritic because all the languages come out of that Red Sea area, before they dispersed from each other. But the Cushitic with a C was definitely an Afro-Asiatic language, and it's something totally different than the Kushite kingdom. The Kushite kingdom was just a moniker the Egyptians gave to the Kerma culture. You on mute, Chief.
You agree NAMER came from Thinnest in Central Egypt?
Oh yeah, he did come from Thinners. Look up if you get a chance right now. It's a Wikipedia page. Look up the Thinnite Confederacy.
I happened to check that out for the first time this morning because they were streaming on it on Jonathan's. And I already knew when I seen Thinnite, it was related to thinnest, right? So, uh, yeah, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and the only thing, like with like the dealing with the Afro, you had a like especially in like Lower Nubia and Southern Egypt, uh, you had like a trend going on with these people, trading cultures back and forth with the Nilo-Saharan, the most northern Nilo-Saharans, which been like uh, the northern or the eastern Sudanic languages, which is Nilo-Saharan languages, with these different Afrasian groups. One being northern Uritic and the other being the Cushitic language, which I classify as central Uritic. Uh, but they always had like a trade-off culture. Like they shared element before you even got to the Pharaonic culture or any of these other groups. They shared certain elements and took from each other. You know what I mean? Elements. You had certain trends, and then just for example, you had like what you call sacro chieftains amongst Nilo-Saharans and Afrasian groups. And that part of the element did come from the Nilos, like making a chief divine and all that shit. It became a cultural trend, amongst the groups. Even though they was no separate groups, because they was trading back and forth, trading shit back and forth. But when Egypt became Egypt, they took that sacred chieftain type style, and they created the divine king. Like they made the king an actual god. You know what I'm saying? But like the Cushites, the Cushitic groups and the Nile-Saharan groups, they kept doing that old way. But the Egyptians, they formed into something totally different, and coming out of that trend, that cultural trend or whatever.
Hey, question for you. Um, let's in regards to Sudan, okay? They have now, if Sudan is divided into Southern Sudan and Northern Sudan. So let's real quick talk about Southern Sudan. Now, I get confused sometimes. Those tallest Africans, isn't that in Southern Sudan? I don't know if they're Maasai or not, but them
Those
real tall ones. What are they called?
those are the Dinka and the Nuer, but they are related. They are Nilo-Saharan. When I say Nilo-Saharan on the Lodic, that's those people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so the Dink. I just want to keep it simple. So the Dinka are them real tall Southern Sudan people, right?
Yeah,
Okay, what language families do they speak?
Nilo-Saharan.
Okay, the people in Northern Sudan, do you call them Dinkas or what do you call them?
No, you got different groups. Once you get more north, you get more of a transversal area. You have Nilotic groups up there that been up there, but they get overlapped by other Afrasian groups by being confluenced in that area. Even though the genetic component is there and the language is there, they get overlapped in the mix. Just like the Tibu people in modern day Libya. Even though like they look like Berbers or whatever today, like
Okay,
intermixed,
what about okay, like
but the language is not.
Manute Bol? Where'd he come from? Sudan, right?
You said who?
Manute Bol, the basketball player. Where'd he come from? Sudan?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. You talking about the guy that's real tall?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he come from Sudan.
So he comes from Southern Sudan, and he would be considered a Nilotic, right?
Yeah, Nilotic. Yeah, they go from they also be considered middle Nile culture. You know what I'm saying? They start like from the African tropical steeps
Okay,
down
but
through.
let's just keep it simple for a second, just
Okay.
simple for the basic audience. Okay, so them Nilotics, them Southern Sudan, which Manute Bol from the NBA is, those are also the people who have the scarification, correct?
Yeah, they have a certain type of scarification. But Cushitic, the Cushitic groups, like the one with the C, they have scarifications too, but theirs a little different. They have like these little three stripes they usually wear on their face, but it depends on the people. But they've been around each other for so long, they back and forth influence, bounce off each other. You know what I'm saying? Even when you see like the Nubians with the plaits in their head, with they look like a bowl cut, that come from the Cushitic groups. Like you look at the Beja groups, they have them same type of plats. Just to show you that they was like, sharing back and forth culture and influence each other. Just like today, like we Niger Congo, but we wearing suits and ties and shit. It's because it's the cultural, trend. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Okay, so here's the thing. I got this book called Wretched Kush. And to be honest, I haven't read this book yet because I'm focused on another one yet. But when I hear them the ancient Egyptians calling them wretched and the scarred ones, they're talking about basically them black, dark-skinned Sudanese, ain't they?
Yeah, probably people in more upper Nubia. But you still in Lower Nubia, you still had some of them cultural elements and traits by them being mixed up, but it's just more mixed up in an area. But the original base of that culture, come from more deeper south. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay. Um, hey, is there anything you want to have a topic live stream on one day, Gullah?
Shoot, I really want to break down the African migrations and how people diverse and became who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like the way, like the certain, and even break down the certain components and genetics that people have. You know what I'm saying? What's most common and what's not common in certain groups. Just like for instance, like the Nilo-Saharan groups, they have a certain spread. Uh, they even spread to West Africa, but they've been spread in certain cultures. Like you have Nilo-Saharans that live around Chad, and the most Western melodic group that would be related to the Nubians or the Dinka type people would be the Songhai. The Songhai were Nilo-Saharan speakers.
Yeah, migration patterns would be a good live stream. Like I don't know if people really just focus on a live stream just on migration. That would be a good one.
Yeah, and I got
Maybe
a,
we
and I
can
got a
do it
pretty
this
good
weekend.
oh yeah, we could do that. And I got a pretty good website that I used for tools that to show like what people would look like as they migrated and mutated. It's called humanphenotypes.net. It's a pretty good website for like anthropology.
Yeah, migration patterns. When you start studying migration, it clears a lot of history up, right? I realized that, like back in the day, all we stuck with was history. It wasn't science based in the early conscious community until Ngozi and Amin Ross Greenwald. Then we start focusing on science. But when they start talking about genetic populations, migrations, and evolution, it just made the history topic more understandable. You get what I'm saying? It's like, right, it's like a piece of the puzzle. If you're missing migration and evolution understanding, it's impossible to put the puzzle together. You get what I'm saying, Gullah?
Yeah, yeah. It's like with brother Unc. I had got into it with Unc on Garfield show. He was saying you can't use markers for determine ethnic groups. I mean, it is when you just use the markers, but when you use other elements like components, archaeology, culture, you can find out, what I'm saying, a certain ethnic group and what it would be. Because you got certain markers that's more common in other groups than you do in other, contemporary groups. We can't hear you, Chief. You on mute.
Okay, both groups of people in southern Sudan and northern Sudan Muslim? Most people. Okay, you have southern Sudan and northern Sudan. Southern Sudan, they're not all Muslim, are they?
No, they're not all Muslim. You have some that still practice in like traditional culture. And then too, a long time ago, like at least like 20,000 years ago, our proto Niger Congo ancestors migrated from Western Sudan and migrated more, into more Western Africa. You even still have a Niger Congo branch that's still left in the most western parts of Sudan, which is like around the Nuba Hill area. Even though they're a minority and they're surrounded by other, like they surrounded by Nilo-Saharans, but you have the Kadofian language family, which is part of Niger Kadofian, which is the parent language of Niger Congo languages.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna end this. Anything else you want to close out with, Gulliby?
Don't just say, man, tell people to stay well read, man, and try to figure the thing out. Like we don't like science always change. We don't have to stick to these same played out paradigms and models. These models got to be updated. A lot of people be using. But yeah,
Okay.
but this weekend we can like if you want to, we can get it in about human migrations and how people became who they were in inner Africa. Like a lot of people talk about the out of Africa migration, but they don't never really discuss the inner African migrations that people took. Like, because all of us came from like modern humans came from the eastern area, but we traveled within Africa and became other people as well. You know what I mean?
Right. I be tripping on people when they be like, uh, they be like, are we the first peoples and shit? And I'm like, wait a minute. There were other humans, archaic humans before us.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like
we
we
definitely would.
knew.
Yeah, we definitely would be new, and definitely by especially even West Africans by us being predominantly E marker. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. A is older than E. You know what I mean? Them archaic humans that was in what that was roaming around the West Africa would have been, even them people weren't even really original, but they were older than us. You know what I'm saying? Before proto Niger Congo people migrated in those areas and start intermixing with them Middle Stone Age people.
I be telling people, they be like, "Oh, these cave dwellers," as if that like that's an like as if that's an insult. I mean, we just practice all that racism talk and shit, but people don't even know there's caves all in Kenya, and anywhere there's caves, the people in that area utilize the cave. You would be crazy not to utilize a cave. Now, personally, I'd rather be in a cave, kicking it, and plushing the cave out than be in a mud hut.
You damn right. Shoot, if people didn't, and then people didn't like live in caves. They went there for refuge, like times of natural pressures of what I'm saying, or like dramatic pressures of nature and stuff. Like they'll migrate to the caves, and what I'm saying, to survive the elements or whatever's going on at that time. And then
Have
too,
you ever?
like shoot, and then too, the caves were like really the earliest type of temples. Like for us, like you find a lot of religious symbols and shit in these caves and shit.
Right, people be like cave dwellers as if that's some insult. They just don't understand.
Shit. The Khoi sign was cave dwellers if that's the case, because they damn sure got cave art, and the pygmy, the early pygmy ancestors, they got cave art all throughout Uganda and shit.
You ever see these cave homes that they have decorated on the internet? That shit be plush.
Oh yeah, with
They
the underground shit with the pool and all that shit.
they be having these all kind of different caves and they be decorated and people live in them and they plushed and shit. You know what I mean? Lighting and everything just all up in them caves.
Man, man, it's these little Southeast Asian dudes I be watching, man. They just be carving shit out the ground, like making whole houses and shit. Just they be using is like a blade and a stick. It's two of them. They make a whole damn pool and underground home. I think they from somewhere Indonesia somewhere, but that should be looking cold. You on mute, brother.
I said, okay, Gully, it was nice having you on for a minute. And we'll organize a migration live stream this weekend or something.
All right, for sure, bro. Peace.
All right, people. So I didn't want to make this no long drawn out thing. Anybody else want to come on? They welcome to come on before I get off real quick. Um, if somebody want to add something, other than that, right? We debunked this coming from the South bullshit. From now on, just say he came from Central Egypt. Okay, just the coming from the South shit was all cap. Now, real scholars do say the South, but their context ain't an afrocentric context. Their context is just south of Lower Egypt or south of Northern Egypt. You dig? So, all that shit Brother Ankh was talking and Smash Rockwell trying to allude and fake you out and make you think. And so I said, let me just cover all this shit. Let me cover the from the South shit. And also, let me cover the pre-dynastic periods and who them people were there. And let them know all that shit is Mesopotamian influence. People from the Near East, West Asia, been all up and down there. It wasn't y'all. Y'all didn't know about any early hieroglyph writings. There wasn't Nubian people writing that. All the Gersa period, all the Nakada, the Badarian, all that shit was people coming in and out of Egypt from that region in the Levant, Egypt, North Africa, the Near East, Canaan, and all that shit. Wasn't black folk. No. All right, so peace out.